Welcome, everyone, to Bardic Inspiration, Dungeons & Dragons in Shakespearean Style, presented to you by Soothplayers from Melbourne's creators of Completely Improvised Shakespeare. Welcome to our session of Bardic Inspiration. With me tonight are the Headless Marys, one of our two intrepid group of adventurers who have been making their way through the fantasy world of Aorn. The Headless Marys have been finding a punctuation mark to one great big arc of their recent story, traveling down the Lewin River to the ocean, to the town of Halefort, where they met a mysterious figure named Veila, whom they learned a lot more about last session 2 weeks ago. This is a reminder, if you're watching now or in the near future and you haven't already, please click subscribe here on YouTube. And you can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Bardic_inspo. And also you can follow Soothplayers on Facebook if you want to catch up with more of what we're up to. So, before diving in tonight, we are going to continue a tradition begun a few weeks back and set a timer. I'm going to invite our cast to recap the last session as best they can 2 weeks hence, which is like 7 years in lockdown time, which is what many of us are under here in Melbourne. Solidarity to those of you who are watching from there as well, or other lockdown locales. With that in mind, could I get one of you to put 2 minutes on a timer for me?
Me.
That was on it. Thank you much.
Just two?
Just two.
Pretty quick. We better slam it down fast.
All right. Go.
Oh, we started. Bertram died.
No, he didn't.
Every time we start with that.
He tried.
So we just finished a battle with some assassins, and one did get away, and we actually started with Avery shooting one running away, right?
Yeah.
That was quite cool, and then we did some looting.
Yeah.
By we, they mean Caliban and Avery.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Me and Avery. And then I went outside for a bit, and I found Dulcie, Rav's best friend, and she was trapped under a net, and I saved her. And then we saw Celine, the mage, escaping, and we found a teleportation circle, and then I went back inside with Dulcie. And what happened?
I got a pan flute.
Yeah.
We made a chain link of all of us, and then we touched a dragon, and then we all had a vision. That's what happened?
Yeah.
I thought you were kidding, but that actually did happen.
Yeah, I did have it. That's
It's from Alda's mum, I think. Yeah.
Seconds.
And we discovered Veila actually has the blood of the dragon in her. She's like a pretty important human, but she also is like the only surviving heir to the Thaindom of Donvale, and she had a difficult decision to make. So then she made the decision that she's going to go and be a Thane, and Avery got a cool sword.
Yeah, I got a cool sword.
Didn't I revealed the blood moss. Let's talk about this for a bit. And I can't quite remember what.
We can't now. We can never say it.
Blood moss. In my mind, it's purple, and it has kind of like a fungusy.
Wait, should I just set a 2-minute timer for blood moss? Or?
No. Well, there will be ample time to discuss blood moss in game, which you're welcome to.
Comment below on your knowledge of blood moss.
Yeah, you had a bit of a chat with Bertram about blood moss.
Please don't do that.
I'm reminded, like, sometimes 2 minutes is so much time, and you're like, yeah, I got through it all, and sometimes it's like, whoa, there's a lot. And even though a lot didn't physically take place last session, you had a lot of important conversations.
Yeah.
You did indeed discuss with Veila her dilemma. She had the choice: either ascend to her place in her family, and therefore expose herself possibly to more dangers and a lot more responsibility, or help her continue to hide in the shadows and continue to seek out Four Winds operatives and do what she needed to do to protect her bloodline. and she decided to stop hiding. You sort of pushed her along, encouraged her to actually say what she really felt. And after discussing that with you, she decided that she would go back home. And she asked,
Simba.
Yeah.
Run.
Copyright infringement.
I
So
pictured Simba in Milo and Otis just then.
I mean, that's an infringement of the kind, I guess.
It wasn't, but like, when people were like run, then I always picture Milo and Otis in the field.
Not Forrest Gump.
Wow. It's the crossover the universe deserves. But we'll never get. So you agreed to go with Veila and Bertram to Donvale Manor, where it was rumored, or at least has been said, that the former family of Donvale fell to a terrible disease. But Bertram's sources indicate that this is likely a ruse or a cover-up of some kind. They do not believe it, nor does he. Foul play is suspected. So we left off with you in the Golden Cave and discussing taking a long rest there before setting off in the morning. Of course, what you actually do next is entirely up to you. So, Headless Marys, you are in the Golden Cave. You have just taken a look at these incredible kind of artifacts, this sword, this pan flute, the glowing crystals surrounding you on the wall. What would you like to do?
Talk about blood moss. So,
I haven't seen this. What was it?
We were going to go to sleep, weren't we?
yeah, let's do a rest. I could use it.
Can I quickly I want to look around the cave for any like herbs or things that I can put in my little herbology kit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you can either make a nature or an investigation check.
I shall join you, Avery.
Okay, yes.
And teach you about these herbs.
Okay.
Then either you can, Avery can roll with advantage, or each of you can roll once, up to you.
Roll with advantage, and then I'll take half of whatever you get.
Okay.
There we go. First rolls of the night right off the bat.
19.
Pretty good. Okay, so 19 plus 5 is not 42, but it is 24. Very good. Okay. Shout out to Matt Day, creator of Rollcast, which is why we're able to have these cool virtual dice rolls. Okay.
Avery, come hither. Come hither, and I shall show you all about such herbs. This here is a mushroom. Have to eat it. It is best fresh.
Respectfully, I will never eat another mushroom you ever offer me.
Well, I will still take all 12 of them and put it in my bag.
Okay.
I will tell you what you find there, Podrick, and you will, in fact, find some mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
However, these are somewhat different than the ones that you were familiar with from the Forest of Argen. And in fact, it takes you a little while before A, you find them, and B, you realize that is what they are. Because you may have noticed during your combat a few sessions ago that there are a number of pits in the ground around this cavern, kind of holes where the water recedes down into until it's too dark to see. And those holes, like a lot of the wall, are lined with hunks of this crystal. But growing alongside that crystal is a strange kind of mushroom, much of which actually is shaped very similarly to the crystal and colored like it. Now, it's not translucent and it doesn't glow, but they seem to have evolved to sort of blend into this environment this way. You have such a high roll, I will say that it does look like other kinds of mushrooms, Podrick, especially you would be familiar with, which can have medicinal properties. So you would probably want to like test them to actually figure out what's going on here. But you've seen others that seem to be of this kind of family that can be ground up and used in potions and herbcraft, but they're unfamiliar to you. In addition to that, you will find that the actual walls and ceiling area, as you're kind of looking around, you sort of would expect this kind of environment to have lichen or other kinds of things growing along the walls because it's so moist and so steamy. But there isn't. other than those pockets underwater, which is already strange enough, there aren't growing plant life around those walls. It's like the heat of the place almost scalds anything from taking purchase. But you would still expect something to be growing there, but nothing of the kind. And Podrick, I will also say, because you're helping, you have one other time before seen mushrooms that grow underwater.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, John Mark? Because Podrick, I think, would.
It was like my 18th birthday.
Yeah.
Just went on a Mac's run.
It was a long time ago for us as a group, but only like a month or two ago for your group. In the Forest of Argen, when Landra was still with you, you did see some of the first magical mushrooms that you found were also growing underwater, which is likewise irregular. The Forest of Argen. Those were the first, I think, of the magical mushrooms that you found.
Okay. Avery, what say you? Would you like those mushrooms? Really tasty. So I
why don't we split them 50-50?
I'll take 50 and you take 50?
Yeah, so let's take 100 sugar mushrooms.
Between the three sort of depressions in the ground that are all around the place, you will easily, I think, be able to collect about 15 each.
15 each?
Yeah.
Right.
Roundabouts 10 per pit.
Hey, Avery, a long time ago, Adam sent me a herbalism chart.
It's true.
Maybe I should share it with you.
Oh yes, thank you.
Yeah, send it along. Do you have the title of that in front of you, John Mark? It's a really cool homebrew resource.
Herbalism101.pdf.
Cool. Does it list the author in there? Would love to give him a shout out. If not, we can do it in the thing below. I'll list it below if I can dig it up.
Nick Scott is the author.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick Scott, for that. We love a good third-party resource supplement. That's what Podrick's been using to create these fun potions. So you can definitely mark, we'll say 15 dragon cave mushrooms. You haven't really identified or figured out what they are yet, but you'll get your chance, I think. You also notice, because this was like to sort of investigate the area, the pits there in the ground do continue deeper into the water out of sight. And so when you're standing down there, you kind of have to like hold your breath and duck under to grab the mushrooms. You can feel a flow, like a current of water coming up from underneath. And it's actually not as warm as the water that's on the surface. It's cooler water coming in.
Cool. Is anyone here good at holding their breath for a really long time?
Oh, I have a potion for that.
Elder can actually just
we have
breathe underwater.
We've recently proven that Alda can breathe underwater.
You had a contest. That's right.
There's a tunnel here in this pool of water. Shall we investigate or leave it?
We shall. How good's thou at holding thine breath?
Terrible. I have a terrible phobia of being underwater and having to hold my breath.
Okay. Well, let's not throw you in there then. I too do not love the water. So maybe we should call some people.
Yeah.
I would be happy to explore this tunnel, as in order to feel some kind of water breathing success.
Can South swim?
Yes.
It's not encouraging.
How long can you hold your breath for, Buckle?
It wasn't long. I forget how long the contest was.
It was a good while, because Buckle's quite sturdy. I think you had a few minutes under your belt before you had to come up, and Alda was just, breathing.
Yeah.
so it was fine.
Well, if you give me 8 hours, perchance with the help of Avery, I can make a potion.
Oh, I can use my new sword to push the water out through the other way.
Ooh.
I can change the direction of the flow of water with it.
That seems more likely than making a potion, doesn't it?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna do that.
Okay, so we can say that enough time has passed since the sort of finish here that maybe you've had time to attune to your cool sword. Tell me about the ability that you're able to use with your sword. It should say it on there. It's a certain spell you're able to cast, I think.
Yeah, so the spell is called Shape of Water. And you can choose an area or a body of water, and you can change the direction that it's flowing, or you can manipulate what it appears like, or the color or the opacity.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, or you can freeze it. Yeah.
Nice. So then, Avery, when you are holding onto this sword, you can feel the sort of connection between your body and the blade. Not quite like it's an extension of your body, but in that there is like a clear temperature change happening between your hand and the blade. And it shifts depending on whether you hold it in your right or left hand, or how you use your grip. It feels hot or cold. And leaning into that kind of cold feeling, you can feel it suddenly shoot up your arm, and it's numb for a moment, traveling all the way up to your shoulder, and you can't even feel your arm, but you're still able to move it. And then that cold shoots back up your arm, and the blade on the blue side glows, so that a blue light flashes all over one side of the cave. So the rest of you would see Avery holding the sword forward, and suddenly the water level over this particular depression begins to change. How are you hoping to change the flow of water in this area, Avery?
Well, you said it's flowing out at a different temperature, so I guess I kind of want to push it back out the way it's coming, so that it sort of hollows out more.
Okay, yeah. And Avery, from where you're standing, it's strange. You feel it working, and you watch like a sudden roiling of the water surface where you are. And the hole, the depression, the tunnel, suddenly lightens. It's no longer dark or as dark. There's still water there. And the water where you're standing is not plummeting through to the ground below.
Oh, my thing just
what happened there?
Oh no, I got so excited that you were going to add Landra.
It was just like a simultaneous glitch in the Matrix there.
God, I thought for sure you were entering someone from the waiting room.
Ah, alas.
Landra comes out of the sword.
That's what I thought.
The sword is Landra. He wild shape in the sword.
I would love
He's
to hear
leveled
the
up a lot.
accent of that sword.
It's going to sound like this. Hello, it's me, Landra, the sword.
The same as the monkey.
Mr. Pointy.
Avery, as your spell sort of finishes, the water clearly has changed. You can feel the water that it has gone. There's no more flow coming up from below. The water is still there. You'll have to dive down to see what's gone on if you want to investigate further, or someone else will have to.
Yeah. What say you, Buckle or Alda? Someone needs to, if you want to, dive down into this tunnel. I'm not telling you what to do or anything. You just, it's there if you want to have a look.
I will have a look.
Well, Buckle, if you will go down that one, I will choose one of the others.
I very well.
How many are there?
There are 3.
I'll choose leftmost.
The one that Avery's been changing the shape. Okay, you can do that. Aldo, go to one of the other ones. All right.
I take off my armor.
Oh yeah. Okay. And take a sec to doff.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Just I don't untie anything. I just take it off over my head and just drop it.
Okay. Noted.
I don't know what Buckle's wearing under the armor.
Yeah, what would Buckle wear?
What
like
do people
probably
wear under armor.
Negligee.
Under armor.
Yeah.
Probably like a jerkin and maybe even like a leather padded kind of shirt to keep it from chafing. But yeah, if you dive down, Alda will dive down on the other side. And Buckle, it's very strange. You get down to the opening of the tunnel, and you feel no resistance pushing up against you. and then your head emerges from the underside. And you are just partially in the water, but your head out, and you are looking down into a room below you, a vast cavern. And it's like you are in the roof looking down, but you're floating in the water, like you swam to get here.
There's air where my head is?
Yeah, you're breathing air at this point, and the water's surface is not breaking. It's as though it has a floor, but you were able to push through it.
Oh, God.
Make a perception check, Buckle.
So cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Can we just find a dungeon?
This is where the vampires live.
Pretty
I
good.
rolled not a 4 like I normally do.
Okay, Buckle. You see beneath you a cavern, which is different from the one that you were standing in before. And it's clear that where your head is, there used to be a flow of water. And I'll tell you why it's clear. Because to one side, and then behind you, there are two streams of water moving upward through the air. Almost like columns of water undulating, like snakes even, streaming upward. One of them going into one of the other openings, and the other going into the third behind you. And the third, which Avery has just affected, is now snaking its way around the opening, just turning in a circle, having been diverted. And then a lot of it is just kind of raining back down into the water below. So there's like...
Is this snaking as a result of what Avery's done, or has it always been like this?
Avery seems to have affected the water snake where you are.
Okay.
But all three seem to have already been there doing this. This water is coming up here against gravity into this cavern and filling it. The air where you are, where your head is coming through, is much, much cooler. And you get that feeling like when you walk into an air-conditioned room on a hot day, and it's like just hits you in the face how much cooler it is and how hot you've been this whole time without really realizing it.
Like a good Ken Solo.
I said there's no product placement in this video on the settings, John Mark.
Matter of fact,
Avery, out of curiosity, does it say on Shapewater how long your effect lasts? I think it might be for a while.
1 hour.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Now, there are on the walls of the cavern, you see, Buckle, as you look around, there are patches of stone, but it's different stone than is on the walls of the cavern where the statues and the rest of your party are. This stone has a kind of dull gleam of a purplish color, and its light is how you're able to see this sort of dim, pulsating purple light. And below you is more water, and this water seems to be emerging from that pool. And indeed, on the far end of this cavern, it's hard to see in this dim light, but you can hear the kind of rushing, trickling sound of like a stream or a river flowing water.
If I was to get out and explore this cavern, would I be able to go back the way I came?
Well, this is a good time to point out that with your perception check, you can also see a streak of gold moving like a salmon upstream through one of the streams next to you, as Alda has dived into one of these and is clearly like fighting a current, sort of zigzagging slightly, and then like working her way, like squiggling her tail, trying to get further forward. And then occasionally she'll like turn and it pushes her back up, and then she's like flipping back down and like pushing against it. And she pops her head out of the water and looks stunned to be able to breathe air there, and looks up and sees you and is like, Buckle, and then stops focusing and then gets pushed back up again. And then like flutters back down there, and then sticks her head out again and saying, this place, why I have ne'er seen anything of its kind.
Me neither.
Shall we tell the others or hither explore?
Isn't everyone else sleeping?
They're just kind of chilling up above. I don't think anyone's gone to sleep yet.
I'm contemplating eating a mushroom.
I'm asleep.
I'm probably waiting for Buckle to get back before I fall asleep in case he drowns or something.
Would Avery have told Buckle that the spell lasts for an hour? I want to say Buckle doesn't know how long the spell lasts.
That makes sense.
And Buckle's like, perhaps I should return. No, wait, perhaps we should both return. And tell the rest what we've seen.
Oh, all right. And then Aldo goes, and then just like basically like cannonballs, and then like the water just like takes her straight up. Those of you who are on the surface can hear as like a sort of reverse splash of Aldo flopping up to the surface and turning around and tromping up to all of you, a golden trail in her wake from where the crystal in the cave floor is lighting up. It is wondrous. You must all see what Buckle and I have seen.
Yeah, I also emerge and I explain what I saw while I'm putting my armor back on.
Slowly.
By the water it doth move like it does fly.
And there was purple nonsense on the walls, much like here, but duller.
Let's see where these currents did lead to.
Some just spun around in a circle in midair.
Why?
But no, to answer your question.
Why, it sounds beautiful, but 'tis a beautiful distraction, is it not?
Veila, Bertram speaks up and turns to Veila and says, do you know aught of this? You have spent time here. It's not my custom. And Veila looks a bit confused and sort of thinks over things and says, I have not often ventured further into this cavern, although I could understand that it hath a depth greater than hither. I've told you I have had like dreams. My connection with Eleva is difficult, strange. I am very curious. I think I have seen something like what you described.
In thy dreams?
I great torrents, rushing rivers, like a web, like a I don't know.
A
web.
Thorn web, like like
Nay,
a whip?
nay, good Podrick, like a web, a web of rivers.
Oh, a web.
A great teeming mass of waters. Such speed.
Has there an outcome to thy dreams?
It is hard to say. I have felt myself plummeting along with great speed, like a barrel over a waterfall, or like a raft in a raging torrent. I think that there is far more going on beneath the world than any of us can begin to understand. Bertram, I think you know a bit more about that than I. Then he kind of nods. If we are to stay here, and some of you wish to see this place, I advise you to take care. Once we leave the environs of this cave, we are moving beyond our best knowledge.
Friends, this opening in the cave piques curiosity, but is it not just a distraction? Do we have such a pull besides curiosity to figure out where this leads to? Or do we not already have a course that we should be taking?
Rav screams, "Cannonball!" and jumps in.
Okay, Rav, tell me about what you're doing. Are you trying to dive down like where Buckle went, where there's open air? Are you going like where Alda went and it's still water?
He was just doing a cannonball. Just
Oh, okay.
for
So you're still up in the cave area, not swimming.
maximum
It's a rock.
splash.
Alright.
Do I have to
Yeah.
roll for how much splash I got?
Are you going for a big splash?
Huge splash.
Okay.
I want to soak Bertram as much as possible.
make an athletics check. That seems like the best cannonball check.
Splash damage.
It feels like it should be a reverse stealth check. Like, you roll
Make a
low enough.
loud check.
How do I have +0 for athletics? What am
Probably
I?
because it's meant to be -1, and you actually have Jack of all trades, which gives you half your proficiency bonus to it.
Checks out.
Okay. Reasonable splash.
Wow.
You definitely send some hot water splashage around, and Bertram just sort of looks over, and then it just basically disregards you. Well, it is up to all of you, of course. What Podrick says hath reason, and if we are to set out at first light, or once we have rested, then we should make any such excursion short. Night is falling.
The darkness at the end of the cave would lead one to think that it will not be a quick return once we do venture in there. So perhaps it is best to leave it for now.
Veila,
Yes.
hast thou ever felt unsafe in this cave?
Why? Only when we were here discovered by the Four Winds. You must understand, it has been one of the few places on this earth since I was a small child that I have felt totally safe. It is the place where Eleva's presence burns the brightest, and I'm sure that it hath an ancient history of its own far beyond my ken, but in this place, in this cave here, I do feel safe.
If anything was to come out from these torrents, then why have they not come out yet? Would be my question.
I think it is a good question, Podrick.
What a good question deserves is a good answer. Anyone?
You did say that there was but a large chamber there and then something further down, yes? Good Sir Buckle.
Yes.
Well then, it would seem that one good answer would be to confine your adventures to this great room, where you know you have egress, and not to go so far as to not be sure of your exit.
Caliban is still asleep, eh?
You did say that he was, yeah?
For how much longer will Caliban be asleep?
I guess he's going to be the first one to wake up from a long rest at this point when he has 8 hours, except
Where
for
did he
our
go to
elven
sleep?
folk.
Did he just curl up in a puddle? Like what?
Yeah.
There are pockets of dry ground in this place, although it's very steamy throughout, so it's pretty muggy. But yeah, there's like where y'all were standing to fight when you were out of the water. Those places are above water.
Birds have kind of like waterproof feathers anyway.
Not all of them.
None of them.
Well, good Ravelor, perhaps you shall put your timer on again. And maybe we should venture and come back before Caliban awakes.
I say perhaps we come back before the spell ends that is keeping this entryway open for us, which is about probably another 55 minutes.
Indeed, good friends, I am yet to meet a wet opening I wish not to enter.
There it is.
Climb it down fast.
Was that in Caliban's voice?
He's talking into sleep again.
We venture forth then.
Indeed.
All right.
Okay.
Barwin's gonna go sleep now too.
All
She
right.
stays through the whole conversation.
Yeah, she's just listening.
I can picture that so much. Barwin just being like,
Before they go, she's just gonna cast real quick mass healing word on Buckle and Avery and Rav.
That's
Okay.
nice.
roll
Oh, she
some
takes care of
healage.
you.
Yeah.
So she didn't feel good enough to go to sleep. Don't worry about it.
I see Barwin had chosen her favorites.
You don't need it, Patrick.
I don't.
You
I
don't.
don't need thy friendship either. But
Right. That's on itself. Buckle, Avery, Rav, Elder, and Bertram.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks. Thank you, Barwin.
That's all right.
Bertram, are you coming with us?
Come on, Birdie.
Make a persuasion check with advantage, or Avery and Podrick each roll once.
You don't want Rav to? Because if Bertram goes, Rav's not going. No, I'm just kidding.
If Rav tries to
Yeah.
persuade him to go, he will.
What's your persuasion like, Avery?
I only have a 0 of persuasion.
I've got
Oh, these are D4s.
Oh,
That was a
that.
bad roll.
Oh, these are healing. I was like, oh, what is persuasion check is this?
Well,
Alright.
7 points of healing.
For a level 4 spell.
Oh.
Right.
2 ones.
Mine is my persuasion is -1, Avery. So perhaps you should.
All right.
Maybe more than I shall.
All right. Come on, Birdie Bot. 10.
Again,
What say you, Bertram?
but again with advantage. Again with advantage.
Oh,
Yeah, so you get to roll again because Podrick didn't roll.
Oh.
Oh, where's
maybe you should have rolled.
okay?
Yes. Oh.
I think it best perhaps if I remain above. I'm rather curious about this.
Then you should come with.
Oh.
We're all curious.
No, I mean this here. But if there's more materials of interest to be gathered, I do entreat you to take some if you can. May perhaps prove useful. This place seems to be brimming with power.
Aye.
Then I want you to hold on to this, Bertram.
What's that?
The blood moss. And I put the blood moss into his hands.
Oh, why? Thank you, Patrick.
You're
I shall
welcome.
keep it dry for you.
You're welcome. And then I give him a big hug.
Well. He sort of like does that thing where his arm like goes to the side and kind of like pats your rib cage a little bit. You're like a good foot taller than he is. So he's just like, all right, well, that's all right then. And he sort of like relaxes a little bit after that initial bit of awkwardness. Simply make haste, but take care.
Has done nothing for me. I gave thee a present.
You are giving it to me.
Aye.
I beg your pardon. I
That's
did
not what
think
friends do.
I did think it was only for safekeeping until you returned.
Nay.
You would make this a gift to me.
Aye. And then I give him a little bit of lemon myrtle as well.
Huh.
That's how we know we are friends, or that you are mine.
Smell this. It's wonderful.
Aye. It's powerful. Don't eat it. Yet.
I'll tell you what, Patrick. The greatest gift I can give you is not with me now. But it is a way of me returning your gift back to you in a different form. I shall show you what I mean. You shall have to accept this as a promise rather than an immediate return. But I hope it will not disappoint.
Well, it started out disappointing. I hope it will not remain this way.
Patrick turns around and gets ready to swim.
I do not like swimming, good friends.
Me neither.
mayhap will. How long do you think it will take us to get to the other side, Buckle? Now I've seen it.
How long did it take me?
It's just a few feet down. Like it's not far.
Okay.
Like you swim down a little bit and then you're out.
No time whatsoever, but there is a lot of water everywhere.
Perhaps we should strap ourselves to Alda?
What should I be? A draft horse?
Aye. And the best of its kind.
Well, if thou dost like swimming, thou shouldst go the way I did. If thou dost like falling, you should go the way Buckle did.
I don't know which one I prefer.
Enough of this. Avery grabs her nose and does this like swimming thing where she like and just like has her nose held and her eyes squinted and just like swimming through the dark until I guess she falls into the cabin.
Patrick sees what Avery's doing. Is like, oh, looks like it works.
Just flailing vertically in the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alda, would it not behoove you and I to take the opposite path that we took last time? You are a better faller than I am, and I like swimming more than falling.
Oh, very well. I shall go thy way then, and you may go mine.
Indeed, and might I join?
Of course.
Alda, I know not if thou rememberst, but I have oft been want to ride a dragon. Mayhaps this is mine chance, for if it is underwater, it still counts, does it not?
I mean, why, Ravelord, I do thank you for the estimation of my powers. I think I am rather small to be a very serviceable mount.
Oh, well, it stopped ye not when Yori wanted to ride upon mine back, but whatever, that's fine.
Oh, Yori is much smaller than thee, Ravelord.
Oh, now thou art fat-shaming me.
Ravelord, thou art not fat, and it would matter not. Yori I could only barely carry, and she did have to leave her heavy...
fat-shaming Yori.
Swim thyself, Ravelord. Thou art cantankerous. I cannot carry thee. But you may follow me if you like. We shall find out how graceful you are if you come this way. And then she like dives into the air and then just knifes through the water. Avery and Buckle, she basically rockets past you through that opening. Like as you're sort of like dipping your heads or toes or feet through that opening, she just like and like bursts through it, sending scatters of droplets, and she just plummets through the air below you and then spreads her wings and starts flying in kind of lazy circles around the cavern. Avery and Buckle, you're gonna drop down?
Yep.
And
Was it Patrick? Yeah, Patrick too.
Oh yeah, okay. And well, Buckle, you said you were gonna swim, right? So is everyone else going the swim route, or are you going the open air route that Avery made with her spell?
I'm gonna take the swim route
Okay.
that Alda took last time.
Yep, sure thing. In that case, Buckle, just make an athletics check for me.
Hey. Hey.
Hey! There he is. Nat 20. Okay.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buckle, with like extreme grace and precision, just gives one of these like sort of perfect frog swim starts and just like knifes through this water. And Buckle, you feel resistance. It's like the water equivalent of a treadmill. And you are like, as you push forward, you feel yourself beginning to start to drift back. You know, if you stop moving, you will have to work all the harder. So you can kind of keep kicking your legs and keep getting these sudden bursts from your arms. And you begin to see the darkness of the cave wall fades, and you can actually stick your hands outside of the stream and feel air as you're pushing, and push your way all the way down. There's like a sort of winding path ahead of you. And you basically, it's up to you with a 20. You can decide when and how you exit this stream of water, whether you go all the way to the base or jump out or something like that.
Yeah, I'll just follow it to the base.
Mm-hmm.
But I will liberally stick my head out to breathe air when I need it.
Yeah, sure. So, and with a 20, I think you handily get your rhythm where you can like dip to the side, breathe, and you can see the walls and stuff closer, and then pop back in, swim down. You make it to the bottom where you feel the water get ever colder. Further down you go, and by the time you get to the bottom and sort of splash your way out, it's like this really not icy, but like significantly colder water, quite like a fresh spring swim kind of feeling. A bit bracing, but not painful. Who else is swimming down that way with Buckle?
Me.
Okay, Rav, you go ahead and roll your athletics check. Podrick and Avery, are you both going the other way, or are you swimming as well?
Yeah, we're falling.
Okay,
Yeah.
in that case, Podrick and Avery, please make acrobatics checks for me. Rough day for Rav.
Oh no, I took proficiency in this. Yes.
Yeah, use a rogue.
Well, Rattler got a 3. So.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
Look at that. Okay, Podrick. Avery, nailed it.
Whoa.
Okay, so in order,
Wait, sorry, can I bardically inspire myself and roll again?
no, I don't think you are able to bardically inspire yourself. There are, unless there's one of the bard subclasses has the ability, I think, to do that, but I don't think lore bards do. It might be glamour bards in certain situations. I have to look it up.
Glamour bud.
Yeah.
Not a glamour bard.
No,
Or-
Finn in our other campaign is a glamour bard. Okay, so Avery, you manage, sort of following Alda's lead, to move without fear, seeing Alda do so confidently. And with your confidence, you kind of dive straight through, even though you know there's air on the other side. And you start diving, can immediately tuck and roll, and then land so that your feet come first, and you do one of these like marine, drop ship kind of dives. Hit the water, just poof. It's a cold rush, and it's quite deep. And you surface, and you're kind of moved out of the way, just in time to see Podrick attempt to do the same, and his lower half sticks into the water longer than anticipated, and he kind of like dangles, and then drops, and is just like full X'd out, like end over head, like flipping, and just boom, hits the water almost at a full belly flop. That doesn't feel great.
It's gonna burn.
Podrick,
Oh, what?
take 9 points of bludgeoning damage. It's a good drop, and you just hit the water.
Brutal.
Buckle saw it coming.
Yeah, pretty rough. Rav, on the other hand, Avery, you could see if you look up the sort of silhouette of Rav just like furiously swimming partway down the stream of water, and then just like swimming, and like getting, it's a thing where if you tip just slightly at the wrong angle, it will flip you around, push you back. Rav, you're struggling. Actually swimming like this is going to be tough.
That's okay. Podrick will break my fall.
do you want to jump out of the side of the stream instead?
Will Podrick break my fall?
You're not going to land on Podrick at this point. You're in a separate stream, so
Well-
there's 3 openings, and he's in one of the other ones,
I'll catch you with a thorn whip.
as before.
I've been caught by your thorn whips before, and I don't enjoy it.
But you'll probably land in water. It's just that I belly flopped and 9 points of damage.
Okay, sure.
So you're going to do that? Then you can make an acrobatics check for me.
Oh my god, for the record, this is the most acrobatics checks I've ever done in a row. This is 3.
Really? You would have done athletics for this one, I think, and then acrobatics for this coming one.
Oh wait, was I doing the wrong? Let me check.
No,
The
you
only
said that
time
you
we've done
had.
this many acrobatics checks is when we're doing the back.
Backflips.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's true.
wait. I've been doing acrobatics checks or athletic checks?
You did one athletics check to try to swim. This will be an acrobatics check to do a good landing in the water when you jump out.
All right. Well, my dyslexia got the better of me, and I
All right.
didn't do the right one. But I'm doing it now.
They're both A's at the top of the list.
Oh no! I didn't mean to roll twice. Did I roll again, or what do I do?
just roll again once.
Do it again. Do 2 again. See what happens. How can we break out of it?
That's much better. Okay.
When incompetence is
Yeah,
good.
saves you sometimes. Rav, after just swimming yourself out, working way too hard, you end up getting your leg caught outside of the flow of water, and you just lean into it. You're like, fine. And then you just pull out, and then Rav comes tumbling end over
Rav
end out of the
pulls out,
side. But then you manage to collect yourself just instinctively, turn yourself around. That's why you made the other athletics check for your cannonball.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. You're able to turn yourself around so that you are almost, for muscle memory, back into something like a cannonball shape. But you can put your feet down in front of you and then land with a big splash without hurting yourself.
How big of a splash? Bigger than the other one?
Much bigger than the other one, for sure.
Enough to get Bertram?
Bertram is up the top, not in range.
My question stands.
Yeah, no, not enough to get Bertram. Sorry, can't even roll for that one. So, Podrick, Buckle, and Rav and Avery, you are all down here in the lower cavern. The water is cold around you and very clear. And you can see down below in the water, there are other of these crystals, which seem to be at various patches along the wall, glowing with a kind of dull purple gleam. What would you like to do?
I guess investigate.
Sure.
Have a look around, see what we can find.
Okay.
Shall we look? Shall we also, while we are investigating, see if there are any more herbs we can take, Avery?
Yes, that's a great idea, Patrick.
I want to investigate the whatever the floor of this thing is.
Okay, like under the water?
Yeah.
Sure, you can do that. Okay, so it sounds like everyone's making investigation checks in their way.
Not me, but I want to feel included, so I'm going to investigate them investigating.
Okay, Rav, you don't have to roll for that.
No, I want to.
You can make an insight check if you want.
Okay.
You're reading them.
What is happening?
Okay, Podrick. And
We're all going. Oh, there we go. There's a normal buckle roll.
Avery with an 18.
Wait, did my roll not happen?
I don't know if I saw yours or not, Rav.
You did.
You had a 21 for acrobatics. There we go, 14. Okay, so Rav, from your vantage, watching them investigating, you can tell that it looks like Buckle is struggling a little bit. I'm
in full armor.
Yeah, very good at holding his breath, very strong swimmer, continuously goes down to the bottom of this pretty deep cavern, and you find a few things, Buckle. When you get down there, you can still see dimly because there's some of this glowing crystal illuminating the way. But basically, you get down there, you grab at the crystal maybe and pull at it. It's like crystal on rock. It doesn't seem to be budging. You look around, and that's basically what you can see. So it's kind of like okay, what do I do now that I'm here? And you kind of go up, take a breath, just do it again. Like go to a different part and look around. So you're watching Buckle basically bobbing for apples like this. You can also see Avery and Podrick both going around the periphery of this cavern. And both of you can feel that the water is moving slightly. There is a place where there clearly is a current moving through. And as you're swimming, you kind of start to get pushed by it, and then you get out of it, and you're not pushed by it anymore. But there are three actually, basically slow motion like geysers of water, just silently flowing up straight vertically.
Silently, like we can't even hear it.
Well, there's the flow of water going into the place, but like the water itself is just like lifting up. Yeah, there's not like a rush or a splash or like there's nothing diverting it. It's just coming straight from underneath the water and up. And I would say, Podrick, it would maybe make sense that you don't make much headway with the search for plant life because this is a very strange thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this water fresh? Is it fresh water?
Yes. You can tell even just from the smell. You've been surrounded by salt water as of late, and the water up above where you've been still has that brackish kind of saline smell. But this is not. This is absolutely fresh water.
Audrey grabs fills his water skin with the water, and then takes a little drink.
Okay. Podrick, I would like for you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Yeah.
Water. It's smart water.
Oh my god.
That's a 9. Okay. Podrick, roll a d4 for me.
Oh.
A 2.
Oh, this is mushroom water.
Okay. Podrick and Rav, you're watching. So you can see Podrick doing all of this and sort of like leaning against the side wall, taking a sip. And he just sort of seems to stare into the distance for a second. Podrick, from where you are, suddenly the world around you changes. There's darkness. And then you can smell something. Something warm.
Toast.
No, it's sweeter.
Some bubbles come up.
It's Minish tarts.
There's cinnamon and nutmeg.
Oh, what's his face?
Light begins to fill your vision. A kind of reddish amber light, flickering, warm, like from a fireplace. As it turns out, that's exactly what it's from. A great hearth, burning merrily, crackling, fresh cedar wood, aromatic, filling a space. A great stone chimney built into a part of the wall around the hearth. And in the stone, in relief, there are carved all sorts of scenes of merriment, as well as woodland creatures, like great deer jumping over streams, hunters. There's images on the wall nearby above the stone, paintings of great feasts. You are sitting at a long wooden table, dripping water everywhere. And you're not alone in the room.
Is it all my siblings?
No.
Jerry.
Caroline. I've got the list. There is a door that opens up on the side of the room, and there's a silhouette in it. And as the light from that doorway spills in, you feel warmth, sudden heat, like the fire has gotten closer to you. It doesn't burn. It's nice. Like it's drying your fur, like you've just come in from a brisk day and you're warming yourself. That sweet smell grows stronger along with the spice. And then a woman with a kind of elven aspect walks in. She is wearing an absolutely magnificent red hunting outfit, like a kind of jacket that has tails proceeding behind, high white pants with knee-high stockings and riding boots. And she is wearing a hat that is perched on a wild batch of reddish-brown hair. She removes the hat and hangs it on a peg, perfectly placed. And then she sits down at the table across from you. Well, now, isn't this quite the surprise?
Good even. Where am I? And I know this person, don't I? Like I would recognize this person, wouldn't I? Can't find the list. Damn it.
the list. That's interesting. Make I wonder what I'd make you roll for this. You have not seen this person in person before.
I've heard of this person, right?
Make a kind of I would say a history and arcana check.
Arcana or history. Oh.
Oh no.
We'll never know.
Yes,
I mean, you
last
might.
night I rolled
just a-
8 nat ones. I rolled 8
Yeah.
the session.
It's
last
impressive. It's impressive. You should buy a lottery ticket.
Or don't.
Yeah.
And you've built it up by now. Okay.
Get your dungeon master to buy one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you are right. There is something hauntingly familiar about this person.
Oh my god.
You definitely recognize like this smell, this kind of warmth, the spiciness, the sweetness. It is just intoxicating, filling the whole space. She sits down and puts her feet up onto a stool that's in front of the fire, and her boots are caked in mud. And she looks at you and says, I did not expect thee to take such initiative thyself, although it is not an unwelcome visit. My, you are far from home, Mr. Dangerfield.
I am. And Patrick almost like starts tearing up at the thought of home.
Oh now. Honey, thou needs must collect thyself.
Is Padre getting Mrs. Robinson? What's happening?
Now, you look dreadfully uncomfortable. Have something warm to drink. And suddenly, as though it's been there all along, in your hands, there is a steaming mug, and you can smell the deep, sweet, spicy smell of apple cider. Has been heated to just that right temperature. Something that a lot of folk make around the woods of the Forest of Argen when it's autumn harvest time. It's the smell of like, that kind of sticky sweetness, but a bit of tartness as well.
This elixir just remind me of home. And Patrick takes a sip.
Just that.
Now I'm sure that is better.
Oh no.
Was Patrick sitting?
Yeah, you sort of came to where you were sitting in place. Rav, from where you're looking
What do
and
you
can
say?
see Podrick is just staring vacantly outward and takes another sip from his flask. Just staring, looking out forward.
As Rav is watching, he gets an inexplicable tingling in his loins.
Slow it down fast. Slow it down.
That just sounds medical, though.
Yeah, it really does. Now, Mr. Dangerfield. And she shifts, and there is this kind of steam coming off of her boots from where that mud was close to the fire. And there's a mixture of these aromas of food and cedar and that kind of wet earth that reminds you so much of home. She sits up and looks at you, and she is holding a mug of her own now. Takes a sip, puts it down. I think that we might be able to be useful to each other, Mr. Dangerfield. I have been watching you.
I impressed thee.
You have.
Is my thorn whip, is it?
I think, in my opinion, you have done your greatest work with a much more crude instrument. And she looks at your staff.
My
It
eyes
is
are
no.
up here. My eyes are up here.
Mr. Dangerfield, am I correct that you, along with your friends, did slay the vampire Amaleth?
Aye. You are correct.
So it is true. I do not always know if I may believe Oberon in his tales, or the tales he lets slip through his emissaries, which I am meant to conveniently overhear. Have you guessed my name?
Aye. I have. Ah, sweet bottom.
Because he is sweet bottom. Yeah. My favorite line.
I know not whether to accept that as a compliment, or to think you truly the strangest creature who has ever been afforded an audience with me.
I know not if I should accept that as a compliment.
Mr. Dangerfield, if I would like to live up to your name, take a wade through a river and see where it leads. I suppose you may want to pick up your toys first. I think you've met another of my friends. I've met another of one of your friends. We shall be in touch.
Podrick looks around to see if he's dropped anything. Like,
Yeah?
yeah.
You look around. Doesn't seem like you've dropped anything on the ground. You do see something on the wall that catches your eye. Portrait you didn't notice there before. There's a table with a bunch of people sitting around it, having food, wine, desserts. You suddenly recognize some of the faces sitting at that table. One of them is Yori, and another one is you.
Just Yuri and I? They're the only two faces I recognize?
Well, there's another face there. Strange. Everything about it's so familiar. But the face is blurred. The body, dwarven, wearing a breastplate, shock of curly red hair with twigs in it. But a face totally blank.
Podrick just stares at it going, I swear I know that.
You know much more than you think, Mr. Dangerfield. I'm sure we will see each other again soon. I'm sure you think that...
If I need thee, how shall I contact you, Lady Titania? Shall I sip from my water skin again?
If you do wish to quench your thirst, taking a drink is certainly one way to do so. She snaps her fingers, and the air ripples like water from them. The torchlight flickering wavers. And then everything fades again to black. You are floating in the water, holding onto a cave wall, sputtering. In the meantime, Avery, with your crazy high roll earlier on investigation,
you see me go in the water? What happened?
We'll pop back to you in a second, Padraig. You are coming to consciousness, awareness, floating where you were in that cave. Avery, you have been looking closely at these collections of crystal along the wall. Again, you don't see much in the way of organic life growing here, but you do manage to find several hunks of this crystal where there are cracks in the rock surrounding it.
Mhm.
So you don't have to break the crystal itself, but you can actually remove 2 chunks of it from the wall, kind of about fist-sized crystals with these jagged sort of glowing purple edges. When you remove them from the wall, a little bit of help from some of your tools, crystal is still glowing faintly in your hands. You don't seem to have broken it in any way at all.
Awesome. Great. I want to use my sword. I want to do this without Rav seeing. So I want to use my sword, and I'm going to cast the Shape of Water spell, and I'm going to cast like a Yori made out of water.
You have a just so I'm clear, does that have a number of times you can cast it per day, or is this?
No. You can cast it at will, but you can only have a maximum of 2 things at the same time.
Yes. Okay. So there's one of them that is a higher power spell, like a 4th level spell, and one that is a cantrip.
Yeah.
So I got you. So you've got shape water and control water.
Okay, yeah.
Right. But with shape water, you're right. You can change the pigmentation of an area of water. It's sort of like an illusion, but using the water. Okay. So Rav is looking around, but you notice Rav seems to be really focused for the moment across the room over at Padraig. This is while Rav was looking at Padraig and watching him.
How would I
spaced
miss
out.
this? I have such high perception.
Okay, well, I'm saying this is when Avery is trying to do it.
Okay.
So if you want to do so sneakily, you can make a stealth check, Avery. And if it beats Rav's admittedly very high passive perception, then you can get away with this.
Do I have advantage because she's looking the other way?
No, just giving it a go. 26 is gonna beat it, I'm afraid. Rav's passive is very high, but it is not 26. I think it's like 19, something like that. Okay, Avery, you managed to get your angle just such that you are out of Rav's clear eye line, and you time it just right. Tell me about the appearance and whereabouts of your Yori.
Water Yori.
Water Yori's gonna be like on the far side of the cave, like far away from Rav. And she's gonna look kind of like she's just treading in the water, and she's just like there. And she's looking directly at Rav.
Okay, so this is a cantrip, and it says you can cause the water to form into simple shapes and animate at your direction. So you can sort of start to like create the shapes that make Yori. It is not like a major image or like a picture perfect rendition, but you're sort of like shifting up bit by bit these hunks of water and turning them into a halfling shape.
Terrible.
It's certainly strange. Like, it's really weird. You can change its opacity as well. So like you do have, it says the water must be changed in the same way throughout. So you can make like it a bit darker than the rest of the water, or a bit more translucent or something like that.
Okay, I'm gonna make it so it's kind of like darker, so it looks like she's in the shadows. So you can't really tell it's water, but you can see the silhouette.
Okay, there is a rough silhouette of a halfling across the way from you, Rav.
And I'm gonna call that Yori? It's Yori!
Buckle's head just like comes up from underwater. Like, what?
Ravlor, I did
You and Rav
say
see this.
Yori, come back.
Rav kind of looks around.
Yeah, Buckle.
He's like, what dost thou speak, Avery? I see not this Yori thou speakst of.
I make the Yori water mermaid thing wave its hand and pull out a water axe.
Okay, a rough like rectangle and then like big sort of like square end of axe shape comes out, just like uncannily waving as it reaches up. Like, I can't stress to you how weird this is.
Well, that's my question. Does Rav believe it?
This is up to Rav. Like, it is clearly like made of water, but like, yeah.
It's such a terrible prank. I love it.
Does it look like Yori from all angles, or just from one of the side facing Ravalor?
I mean, again, this is like rough shapes, so it's like silhouette, like
It's 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's shadowed, so like what's inside it, who knows? But it's like, imagine like a sheath of water around Yori, but smoothing out a lot of the contours and yeah.
Buckle just tries to slap Bubble Yori on the shoulder.
Your hand passes through it, just like when you were swimming through the streams of water. You like just wet hand.
It must be an illusion. The cave must be trying to trick us.
I'm gonna try and imitate Yori's voice and like throw my voice.
Do you have the actor feat? I don't think so, right? That's
I don't.
the rafting. Okay, make a performance check. Okay, Elizabeth, do a Louise impression. That's what it's gonna sound.
Can't do it.
Ravalor, you disgust me, but I love you.
That's what it sounds like. Exactly that.
Ravalor catches Buckle's eye and does a wink. And then he goes, and then he goes, "Oh, water Yori, is it? Tis a pleasure to see thee."
Thou hast lost weight, old chum.
Why is everyone fat shaming Yori today?
I do not know how to compliment a water creature.
Rav turns to Buckle. Buckle, this is a bit of fun, but in earnest thou shouldst not comment on people's weight, whether they have gained it or lost it.
No, correct. I panicked. I apologize.
Then Rav uses his actual actor's feat to mimic Yori's voice.
Which you can do. What do you have Yori say?
He like covers his mouth and he goes, do I have to do Yori's voice?
You just talk and it will come out. It's like Caliban with mimicry.
Yeah. It's in the rule.
He makes Water Yori say, "Why, it started as a prank, but somehow hath come real. 'Tis me, Yori. I'm trapped beneath the water. Help, I'm drowning."
Sounds just like Yori, like Yori's actual voice echoing through this cavern right now.
And then Rav in his own voice goes, "Oh nay, 'tis a prank. We should let her drown. Come along, Buckle."
I don't know, Ravalor. Perhaps she is real. She just claimed she was. Oh, but fine. She can magic her way out of this as she does everything else.
Nay, I think not. I think she shall drown.
Another outcome that I prefer, apparently.
How is Avery not falling for this? Do I have to do a performance check? What's the deal?
I mean, this is up to Elizabeth. Avery literally made this solution.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna fall for it. It's my prank.
Yeah, okay, but my voice was so much more realistic than yours.
I mean, it's a good imitation of Yori. Podrick, you have come to watching this unfold in front of you. You can see your friends doing this, apparently unaware of everything you have just experienced.
Somehow
What's Podrick
weirder
doing?
than
What's
the
Podrick doing?
visions you have.
Well, I think the lesson we're learning is never leave Caliban. Never go
Or-
Caliban.
I'm gonna just see if I can get through the whole show with just being asleep.
Sleeping.
What? Go on.
What's happened?
Well, Podrick, you've come to seeing all of this transpire in front of you. What's Podrick doing?
Podrick's Podrick was just about to drown, wasn't he? Like he's just come to in the water.
Yeah, you were like holding onto the wall. You weren't drowning. You're just like floating there and holding on, and then you feel yourself there suddenly, like where you were there to take a drink, and you realize you were taking a drink, and then this happened, and now you're back exactly where you were.
So Podrick gasps for air, and then sees what's happening, but also thinks of what just transpired in his own mind, and so forgets about them and just starts wading towards. Is there a shore?
So the room is a massive cavern that has no shoreline edges around most of it. On one end, though, there is an opening, and you can see there is water spilling out of that opening into this cavern. It appears to be the source of the water that you're floating in.
All right. So we're like just basically in one big bathtub. Like there's nowhere to kind of there's no
Think of
dry
it-
land anywhere.
Yeah, kind of. Like you can grab onto hunks of rock and crystal on the side to keep yourself up if you want to that way. But otherwise, yeah, it's water.
Great. Why did we come here? Oh goodness me. Good Avery. Good Avery, where art thou? Good Avery.
Avery's not here!
How do we get back then? Well, shouldn't we be getting back before your spell does end?
Follow me! And then I make the Yori, the water Yori, go over to the geyser and just shoot up back the way
Yeah.
it came.
The water that Water Yori's made of does incorporate with that water and just and get picked up and disappear.
Hastily, he'll follow Yori. Podrick tries
You
to.
swim up to one of the streams.
Yeah.
So
Did Alda
of the
not
three
come down
streams, what did you say, Buckle? Sorry.
Did Alda not come down with us?
Alda is swimming around beneath the water at the moment, just sort of streaking around in circles. She hasn't come up for air because she doesn't need to, so she's just kind of zooming, basically, and then doing figure eights and lapping around beneath your toes, seeming to reveling in the freedom. So she's down there.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Adam.
No, that's all right. So Podrick, you can see that there's 3 streams of this water coming out. One of them is sort of being redirected, but the other 2 are going straight up into the cave below. So do you go to one of those streams?
Yeah.
Okay. Podrick, when you dip into one of those, you feel the sudden rush of water as it picks you up, and it's like levitating, but you hold your breath, and it takes you at speed, kind of winding, not a straight path. And then up, and suddenly you feel the water grow warmer as you get close to the surface, and then you break the surface and see your friends lying down where they've sort of made camp nearby. You're back into the cave.
All right. I'm the only one there at the moment, aren't I?
No. So Bertram and Veila and
As in, out of the ones that went down.
yes, everyone else who went down is
Rav goes
still
up
there. Okay, Rav will join you
there's
shortly
Buckle.
then. Okay, Avery, you as well.
Yeah, if there's nothing else left to investigate, I guess.
Sure. You've got those 2 hunks of purple stone.
Yeah.
You can add to your inventory if you like. Okay, all of you pop back up. You can see your friends resting. Veila and Bertram seem to have likewise found spots to make themselves as comfortable as they can. Do those of you who are down below go to your rest now, or do you have anything else you'd like to do?
Yeah, I'm about to go to my rest, but before I do, I just stare at the flower. And I just stare. Okay. Can't pick that figure on that wall. And then I move on.
Okay. If you're all going to take your long rest now, or those of you who haven't been doing it all along, you can go ahead and take your rest, unless one of you is taking watch. We didn't talk about that.
I'll take watch till Caliban's up.
Yeah. Okay. So Avery and Rav can do their 4 and 4 bit if that's what you'd like to do. This seems like a good time for us to take a break. Then it's 5 to 9. So why don't we reconvene? Let's say at 10 past 9. So it'd be 14 minutes rather than 10, but it's easier to remember. So 10 past 9. Those of you in the chat, and we shall return. So take a stretch, get some tea, etc. And then after that, we shall return for more D&D. See you shortly.
See ya.
We are back. Welcome. It is time for the second half of tonight's session of Bardic Inspiration featuring the Headless Marys, who have just been on a bit of a jaunt through A, their dreams, and B, through the lower cavern here in the Golden Cave, where a mysterious cold pool, rapidly being refilled by a river nearby, is filled with a strange purple stone, some of which Avery has collected, and some of that water Podrick has drunk to a very strange effect. He has a flask of that water with him now, and you have all taken the elevator, as it were, back up to the Golden Cave. Alda comes following you, and in dramatic fashion, just sort of like geysers out of the water, following the momentum, and flies a little bit around the low ceiling of the room before settling down nearby Veila and curling up for the night. Now, one of you was going to be taking watch first. It was either Avery or Rav. I can't remember which one of you said it was. Okay. In that case, everyone else is laying down to take their rest. Rav, you can make a perception check for your 4 hours, if you like.
Oh, right on the screen. This is just in case any water Yoris sneak up on him.
Oh no.
16. Rav's very perceptive. Okay. As everyone finally sort of settles down, you can notice that except for where Veila and Alda are, where there is a sort of gentle golden glow from where they are lying down, the room is quite dark now. Everyone is sort of laying out nearby. You can hear outside the crash, gentle crash of surf in the distance, as the water nearby where the cave is not very active. You've got a kind of closed-in cove, but you can hear the surf against those dangerous rocks that Bertram navigated you between nearby. The air is very warm, almost stifling, and it's quiet. Other than the sound of your compatriots dozing and Dulcie sort of skittering about the place, investigating things, occasionally flying off nearby. But she's keeping quite close to you, perhaps out of the skittishness from her experience outside the cave earlier today. But your watch passes without incident. And when your 4 hours are up, if you'd like to, you can wake whoever's taking it next, or Avery, if you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take over.
Yeah, well, actually, Avery, you can click through having finished your long rest, because after 4 hours, you are done.
Wait, so is Avery awake already?
So Avery is going to wake up at the end of 4 hours and be finished with a long rest and can take over then.
Great. As Avery wakes up, Rav casts Minor Illusion.
What does Rav Minor Illusion?
What do you think? An illusion Yori.
Okay. So tell me what this still image of an illusion Yori, what's it doing?
Does it have to be still? Can it be?
So minor illusion is still, I think, unless this is the cantrip, right?
Yeah.
There are major image and silent image, I think, can move. But so it can fit within a 5-foot cube, and you can change it over the course of a minute, but you can't animate it.
I see. Well, I just want it to be so that as Avery's waking up, it looks like Yori is standing over her.
Avery, you wake up and there is the vivid figure of Yori standing over you. it's up to you. If you think Avery would try to like understand what's happening, you can make a roll against Rav's DC. Otherwise, there's Yori. It's up to you whether you think Avery would be skeptical.
She probably wouldn't even recognize that it was Yori. She would just wake up, see someone towering over her, and then she would grab her dagger and just like swipe through it.
Your dagger just through air, straight through the body of this person. And as you're kind of like sleepily coming to, this is one of the few times Avery can be surprised as well while unconscious. You realize then that the thing in front of you is not real, but it is in fact an image of Yori. It looks exactly like Yori. You just can't touch it.
At that moment, Rav uses actor feet to make Yori's voice and goes, "You stabbed me! Ah!"
All right, Ravlor, this is game on.
And then in Yori's voice, Ravlor goes, "I don't know what you mean. This is Yori."
I will still out Yori you. Just you wait.
Rav goes to sleep.
Okay. Avery, you are on the watch. You can make a perception check.
Okay.
Okay, 13. You notice over the course of the next 4 hours, you get into that period of the night that some would call the witching hour. It's like that sort of real dead quiet, in that there's still an hour or more before dawn, but it's well past midnight. It's extremely still. And you notice some light suddenly dimly at the corner of your eye, and you turn and see Veila seems to be sleeping fitfully. She sort of rolls over and takes a deep breath. And you notice that the light underneath her body, dull as it is flickering, kind of expanding slightly, getting a bit brighter, and then going dim again. And then you see the light expand again, and it begins to move past her body, a little further each time. Not so much in a halo, but now in a tendril. And it joins in the dull glow underneath Alda, where she is curled up asleep. And then it stays. And the light joins them and grows a bit stronger, and then begins to flicker in unison. Both of them seem to sort of be turning over, faces clenched. They seem to be dreaming.
I'm gonna go over and put my hand on, I guess, Alda's shoulder while she's sleeping.
Okay. Avery, when you do this, now perhaps unsurprisingly, as it has happened before, the world around you changes. A bright golden light fills your vision, and then you are flying. There is ocean beneath you, everywhere, as far as you can see. Miles and miles of ocean and clear blue sky. And you are enormous. You are speeding through the air faster than you have ever moved before as Avery. And you're moving ever higher skyward, looking directly at the sun without discomfort. You feel you turn over so that the sky is beneath you and the sea is straight above you, perfect inversion of where you were before. And then you drop and plummet down towards the ocean. It's rising at you. And then suddenly you spread your wings and feel the warm thermals pick you up. And you go sailing just along the waves, which are not very choppy, but you're able to move in between them easily, letting your feet dip and touch the water, feel the spray. And beneath you, you can see your own shadow. Enormous, great, long wings and a long spiraling tail and a long neck. You can feel heat inside you. It's hot fire. And then the shadow beneath you gets darker. It's not just your shadow. It's something else in the water. It's as big as you are. Moving as fast as you are, even though you're flying. And then the surface of the water breaks, and you see shining bright blue scales, silvery in their gleam almost, undulating like a serpent, as pieces of this enormous body break the waves and then go back underneath. And then the shadow disappears. And then up ahead of you, there is a crash as the water splashes, and the enormous body of a great, shining blue dragon breaks through the surface and shoots straight into the air, still undulating like a serpent, wingless, but flying. As it takes to the air, as light as air, it breaks up above you, and then you can turn upside down looking at it. And it turns and plummets down straight at you. And you can nimbly turn to the side. It rushes past you, blasting the air around you, and you can feel this shock of cold coming from it as it plummets back into the depths. Again and again, this other dragon bursts from the water, leaping up at you, and you dodge nimbly. Until eventually, as it leaps from the water and you move highward to the sky, you begin to spiral around each other. You can see it up close. Brilliant silvery blue eyes looking at you, daring you. And then both of you, as if on cue, dive, crash into the surface of the ocean. And then everything goes black. And you're there next to Alda, holding onto her shoulder. Back to yourself.
Is Alda awake? She's still sleeping.
She seems to still be sleeping, but no longer fitfully. The glow that was connecting her with Veila has subsided. She seems to be as she was.
Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna write it down in my journal.
In the coming hours, Caliban and Barwin, you will wake first and see Avery keeping watch and everyone else kind of snoozing nearby. Is there anything the two of you would get up to with your extra time you've earned here while everyone else is sleeping? Avery's there.
I'd like to go outside, climb up to where that teleportation circle was, or if I can.
Yeah, where Peas Blossom saw everything happen.
Yeah, and just clear the area as much as possible.
Okay. When you say clear the area, what do you mean by that?
Well, if there's any markings still on the ground, I want to.
Okay. Make an investigation check for me. I think with time, Caliban can make his way up there. Like it's not an easy climb, but you have time.
Yeah. Okay. What was it? Investigation.
Yes. Me3. Okay. When you go up there, you can look around and it's mostly rock and dirt and scrubland. There's like some mossy outcroppings poking their way up in the gaps between rocks. And there's a solitary tree. Really more of a it's an old, very small tree There's not much water and soil to be had here, and it's sort of jutting out almost at an angle away from the precipice of the cliff. There's barely any life to the thing. And you look around on the ground where Peace Blossom said that he saw strange markings. And it's difficult to discern any trace of anything like that, even with your close and careful look. And just when you're about to give up on finding anything like that, you look at the tree itself. And at the base of the tree, maybe about 6-8 inches off of the ground, you notice that there's something carved into the bark. It is a circle, which has been the bottom of a circle totally carved out, but the top, a kind of crescent shape, is just in relief. So I should actually have made a picture of this. I should have known you'd find it. Give me a sec.
So you mean like does it look like it could be like almost like a handle or something, or?
It looks going to be quite a crude rendition. Can you see that? Yeah. So it's a circle, and the circular part underneath, that is all carved out of the tree. But the part at the top is just the outline is carved. So it's like this kind of curving crescent shape. Yeah.
Yeah, halo. Okay. Can I investigate that further now that I've seen it, or?
When you say investigate further, what do you mean?
Like, I just want to see if I touch it, if anything happens, or can I just touch it?
It seems inert. There's nothing. Nothing happens when you touch it. It doesn't explode or anything.
All right. I'm going to basically bastardize this carving by drawing like little horns. Like carving little horns on it, and then I'm gonna like carve a little face on the inside as well, so it looks completely different. Change the shape completely.
Sure. So you carve into the actual grooves itself that are part of it to change
Correct.
it.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. So now it just looks like a horny little devil.
Nice. Okay, so while Caliban's getting up to all that, what are you doing down below, Barwin and Avery?
Barwin's just gonna ask, walk over to Avery. Did Seth find anything of interest last night?
Funny you should ask, Barwin. Because yes, last night I did see the connection between Veila and Alda again in the water with the glowing light. And when I did touch Alda's sleeping form, I saw a vision of Ford and Moonfang and Alda's mom flying together across the ocean and then kind of getting into this battle and then diving back down into the ocean over and over again. Yeah, I guess you could call that interesting.
Avery, I don't know if maybe this is part of my description error. I think you saw the initial the image of Ford and Moonfang from Alda, right? Like with the silver coin. So this was definitely not the same dragon.
Oh, it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Oh.
So both have this silvery glint to them, but Moonfang had wings and was more white and was like on a mountain. Yeah. Whereas this dragon was more serpentine, like has no wings and is bluer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that is interesting, indeed.
I don't know.
More dragons than just Elder, Eliva, and Borden.
I mean, can you really call it a dragon if it doesn't have wings? Seems like kind of like a wannabe dragon. Try-hard dragon.
Well, I'm sure most things without wings would wish they had them. I'm sure I wish I had wings. Maybe perhaps I am a would-be dragon wannabe.
Perhaps you are. This was definitely a a flying serpent. I know not how it flies, but it was certainly living below the ocean, and it had the ability to freeze with its breath. Yeah.
Well, 'tis fantastic. Perhaps we will meet many more dragons before we are done. Most exciting, although it is scary at times. I have not had this much fun, well, ever.
I didn't know you were such a dragon enthusiast.
Nor did I, Avery. Well, I never met one before.
I can only hope that they're all as friendly as Alda has been.
I am sure Warden is not. Or otherwise, I doubt we would be helping them. But I take your meaning that perhaps this other one shall be alike to Oliver and Alda for sure. But I meant down in the cave. Was there anything else down there?
Yes, I found these purple crystals, and I show Bowen crystals. What make you of these?
I know not of their origin, but I think perhaps they would look good adorning a doorway.
Doorway?
Of somewhere special. I can imagine if I were to walk upon a door and see those such crystals and shards above it, then I would have a good idea of what would be within. Perhaps a tavern of some kind, but with tiny glasses. Goodness me, I did have such a good sleep last night.
So peculiar, Barwin. You know, most people would see a prized jewel and imagine adorning it on their body. You are the first person I have met who would prefer to put them on a doorway. I appreciate that difference in you, and I think that good-looking doorways are underappreciated in the community at large.
I do agree. I agree so much. But there is so much we can express to those walking past a doorway about what would be found within that we don't. We could
slowly start backing away.
I was just talking for a while before she realized.
Who else is awake? Is Rav awake?
No. So Rav will probably be. Yeah, Rav will be the last one awake at this point, I think. Other than, actually, Rav and Podrick will wake up. Rav, Podrick, and Buckle will wake up around the same time. Caliban and Barwin are up, and Veila and Bertram and Alda will. Well, Veila and Bertram will wake up a little earlier than the rest. Alda's still sleeping as well. The first of them to come up would be Veila and Bertram, and as they awaken, Bertram notices the stones sort of at the tail end of your conversation with Barwin. Says, "Oh, Avery, is this what you found?"
Yes.
Dear me. Just a moment. And he sort of like digs through his bag and pulls out that sort of eyepiece, a jeweler's eyepiece that he used the night before on your sword. And he's like, may I have a closer look?
You may, but please do not talk to me about adorning any doorways. I've had enough of such conversations for this morn.
It's a rather strange request, and a good doorway is rather unappreciated. I think it's no matter. He sort of studies it for a little bit. This is it's rather remarkable. I'm glad that you found some of this. Wish that I would like to take a sample likewise of the crystal in this room. It seems to be quite incredibly different. And yet, yes, it's hard to explain.
Well, I have two of them. Would you like one?
Oh, yes. Avery, if we find some use for it, I shall return it to you at once. It's It will be excellent to learn more.
Of course. I
Now
hand them
this-
the-
Right. And he kind of goes over to the side and he's looking all over the walls at this, the golden colored crystal in this cave. And he's like looking at it with this eyepiece as well, and then looking back at the purple one. He just keeps muttering things to himself like, incredible. Of course. And it just seems lost in what he's doing. At this time, roundabouts, the rest of you would begin to be waking. So you can click through those long rests.
Even Rav?
Rav will come to around the same time as Caliban and Podrick. Well, Veila says to all of you once you're sort of gathered, we are not far from the Donvale Manor House. It's not but a few hours from Haleford itself.
Do we take a boat, or do we travel by land?
Well, I understand that you have the boat hither, and I'm sure it would be a shame for you to leave it.
No. I asked not that. We have a way of transporting the boat. Worry not on that. I just want to know whether I should go out and get it, or whether we're taking it. Like, or whether we're traveling by boat, or the boat's traveling by us.
Well, it is a slightly longer journey by boat, but a more comfortable one, I suppose.
I start walking off to go and get the boat.
Okay. Veila sort of turns to whoever's around and is like, what did he mean, go get it?
It fits in a bottle.
It does what?
It shrinks to live within a bottle.
And then Alda comes around and says, it does what? I were on this boat all along, and I knew not that it could fit in a bottle. Dost thou have a giant bottle?
No, it is a regular sized bottle. Quick, run so you can see him do it.
Thou art having a joke with me, Barwin, and I shall catch you out before you succeed this time.
Quick run chase to prove me right or wrong.
Perhaps don't run out, Elder, in case there are...
Right, I will be faster if I fly, and boom, she jumps into the air. Just heels off 80 feet per round, just smashing it through the air, flying out through the opening. Caliban, you hear Alda burst through the opening in the cave behind you and starts flying, and she flies past you overhead to the ship and lands on it and looks down at you as you approach, and she says, Barwin did try to trick me, Caliban.
Oh no.
Podrick is running outside to see if there's anyone watching.
She did say to me that you would put this great ship inside of a regular-sized bottle. It's not a great shape.
I am. Verily, 'tis a jape.
I didn't know it were so.
But there's no such thing as a regular-sized bottle. Bottles come in all sorts of shapes. There's big bottles, small bottles, medium-sized bottles. How could you say there's some regularity to bottle smithing in this world?
Podrick's run out and gone, if it was to be a merry jape, perhaps there would be a Yori-sized bottle. But nay, we don't have there is no Yori jape here.
What be all this double speaking? Does the ship fit into a bottle of regular or irregular size?
I hold forth the bottle. And I say the magic word, which I cannot remember what the word was. What was?
I think you said it. This is the first time you've done it since you let it out of the bottle, though. Okay, Caliban.
I can't remember.
As you say the command word,
I think blueberry.
Alda looks quizzically and then seems very alarmed and looks below her. And the grains on the wood of the ship begin swirling and moving. And there's a sound as like her claws were on a place that is moving. So she like picks them up and begins to flap her wings in alarm and sort of starts to hover in place. And the ship begins to shrink. And there is like a kind of crunching sound that then becomes a slurping sound as the ship then turns spiraling inward on itself, resolving into a tiny version of itself after flowing like water through the open stopper of this bottle and reforming in tiny miniature inside as you cork it. And there it is, the Headless Mary, complete with its hood ornament inside the bottle.
I show it to Alda.
That is wondrous. She were not fooling.
Nay, Barwin tricks rarely. And I put it into my bag.
In this case, she were true. I must warn thee, Caliban. She is an expert and subtle prankster when she doth her mind put to it. Keep ye vigilant.
I will be a vigilante through and through. And then I walk back in. Okay.
Vigilante.
Patrick has a quick look around to see if anyone watched.
Make a perception check.
Oh no. Perception.
Okay.
Perceptive.
Yep. From where you are, down near the mouth of the cave, you look around and see that the cove you're in, is quite isolated. So the sort of cliff face wraps around a little bit until the brief opening in the rocks ahead. There's the sound of surf crashing against those rocks. There's the occasional cry of seagulls nearby, flying overhead.
I thought you were going to say the occasional cry of cowabunga, dude.
It's not just Caliban over there mimicking one.
Keanu Reeves is, it's quite great.
Keanu Reeves. There does not seem to be any humanoid creatures around tripping your perception wire. There are a couple of larger birds perched up on the top of the cliff face nearby, some gulls. These would probably be unfamiliar to Podrick, who's more accustomed to forest biomes. But then one of them spreads its wings, standing up briefly, and stretches them out to its full wingspan, which is massive. And it is a small group of albatross who seem to have taken up a nest on top of that cliff. Well then, if we are to make the overland trek, there is a path around the bend here. It will take us up to one of the trade roads. We can be at Donvale Manor or its environs by later today. Truly, that is a marvelous vessel. And Bertram sort of like looks down again at the bottle in Caliban's hands. Like, dare I even ask?
Nah, because I've already put it in my bag.
Yeah.
I suppose you can't answer the question if it's in your bag. That's fine.
For the record, every time Bertram talks, Rav makes us a face like he's smelling something bad.
Yep, I believe that.
Just wanted it to be canon.
Okay, Rav's doing that. To be determined whether or not Bertram seems to be noticing. Bertram will lead you along with Veila around the tip of the cove here, and then picking your way over some low-lying rocks, there is a bit of a discrete path. It's very difficult to see, but once you're on it, you can begin to pick out just traces of it ahead. But he guides you around the corner, and then eventually, slowly up a hill, and around to a broad, flat landscape that is mostly rock face and cliff, and then that cliff and rock gives way to a sort of sandier soil. And after an hour or so walking along there, you end up at a road. which is really seems to be a rather well-traveled and somewhat public road. It's not just like one of the small country roads from Airdock Island that you would all be used to. Bertram turns to all of you when he gets close to this now and says, I realize you are all new to these parts, but those of us who are not, as we get closer here, we need to be conscious of our appearances. To that end, Bertram touches his studded leather armor and mutters something under his breath, and then changes. He appears to get a little bit taller and has the gear of kind of like a merchant, but not too fancy. It's kind of like a doublet with a vest, and seems to be wearing like a traveling hat and cloak, and very nondescript. Looks just like a human man. Veila, likewise, puts a hand into the pocket of her robe and mutters something, and does the same, changing her appearance into a half-elven woman with brown hair tied up into a tight bun, and narrower, more angular features, and a little bit shorter than she actually is, wearing similar kind of traveling clothes of a similar cut and weave to Bertram's. Bertram then turns over to Alda and says, my young friend, I'm not certain you're going to enjoy this, but I'm going to have to ask you to do your best donkey. What? And then Bertram takes out a ring and puts it on one of Alda's fingers, and it looks comically small for her, like her claw definitely would not fit in it. But strangely, as he touches it to her, it expands and fits perfectly around her. And then he whispers something into Alda's ear, and she looks up at him. She whispers something, and then suddenly Alda's golden scales disappear and begin to be replaced by patchy gray-brown fur. Her long, graceful neck shortens into this stubby, mulish, muscular neck, and her head becomes a donkey's head. She has been illusioned up, as it were, into the form of a donkey.
If I touch her, do I feel scales or do I feel fur?
You feel scales. This is not a tangible illusion or an altered shape change. It's totally visual.
Rav whispers to Caliban, what is it with us and donkeys? It is a recurring motif.
Padrig leans over to Rav and whispers, thou hath wished to ride a dragon. Methinks now be your chance.
Nay, Padrig, 'tis not the time.
As I was saying to ye, Alda, it is the least conspicuous sort of beast that could be found alongside us. You will turn heads, says yourself. Now, if any of you wish to take similar precautions, you may, but I am hopeful that none here know ye.
Well, I would say, Bertram, that thou shouldst transform thyself into an ass, but I see thou hath already done it.
Some of us need to transform to accomplish such a thing. This way. And he'll lead you along down the road, and it's probably about a 3-hour trip once you've gotten to the road. So as you're going, if there's anything you'd like to discuss with each other or kind of have a little bit of a cutscene to the side and talk about things, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, yeah.
I just want to say that Avery puts her hand on her armor and turns into like a little toddler. little toddler girl.
So, given the restrictions of the spell, you can change your height by a foot in either direction. Just so you know, if you're a toddler, you're like a 4 or 5 foot tall toddler.
How
Does
long
the,
is small
does
feet?
the armor just change the appearance of the armor or the whole person?
It effectively gives you a disguise self. So it
Okay.
can change everything
Awesome.
about your appearance. It just doesn't change you.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's so cool.
it is. It's rather nifty.
Okay, fine. I'm not a toddler. I'm like an 8-year-old.
Okay. So Avery is now like a child.
Yeah.
All for an 8-year-old, but not unreasonable.
Mm.
Tell me what this kid looks like.
She has blonde pigtails, and big like red cheeks, and she's kind of dressed in ratty merchant's clothes. She's just gonna hold on to like I guess the saddle of the donkey, make it look like she's part of this family.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Then you blend right in with them more or less. The rest of you kind of walking alongside.
Raph parts his hair in a slightly different spot.
I love that you are wearing the same armor too, aren't you? You can change appearance. Don't you have the same armor as
Yeah, you
Avery?
Do you
I
have the
just
glamored studded
did.
leather?
I
Yeah.
just changed my appearance.
Yeah.
So it is an illusion of Rav, but with a different part.
I love it.
That's so good.
cool.
But Podrig's up the back, and then kind of like pulls Barwin aside, and just says, "Barwin, may I be open with you?"
Of course, Podrick.
Methinks this is a perfect opportunity to change shape into mayhap an animal or a beast of sorts. But throughout our time, I have not been myself. I know how to. I know how to change, and I know it would be useful. But I worry. I have a hesitation.
What are they worried about, Podrick?
Will you keep this secret with you?
Of course.
Whenever I change shape or feel as though I'm about to do so, it feels the same as though when I'm to be affectionate. Does that make sense?
Can thou say it in another way?
When I experience what feels as though I might encounter love, or like some sort of love, then I feel fuzzy, and not the fuzziness that
I did not think they were referring to thine.
It's not a comfortable feeling, so I do not do it, which is why I am rarely affectionate. Which is why I don't change shape. But when I do, I feel the same feelings, and it scare me. Which is why when Ravalor kissed me, I changed. And I do not change often. But I know that this is a skill of mine that could be useful. I know not what to do.
Podrick, thou right in that skill is one that would be useful, but Dash does not do anything that makes you feel more uncomfortable than you are willing to be. We are under a great deal of stress right now, and if thou canst not change, we'll be fine. We shall make do, and perhaps another time when we have more things are less like this, then we will. You can work on that if that does wish to. But there
How
is
will I
more.
work on it? Because it's not that I can't, it is that I won't. Kiss me.
Well,
Well, if I do get comfortable with this feeling, then mayhap I would be comfortable with changing shape. Would it not work? You're wiser than I.
Mayhap thou art thou speaking of I will, if that is what thou needst, I will kiss thee.
Do whatever you have to, but just keep walking whilst you're doing it, because some people are trying to get to a place, okay?
Yeah, we are doing this while we're strolling.
Do you think this would work?
I don't know for sure, but there are few things I would not do for you, Patrick.
Patrick closes his eyes and puckers his lips.
Patrick, Barman, just gently coughs because Patrick is very tall.
Patrick closes his eyes and just gone.
Patrick,
Adam, I think you might be muted.
For Barwin's head.
There you go.
Yeah.
Patrick, that will need to bend down to meet me if thou wishes to kiss me.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm flustered. Oh. Patrick starts to feel nervous and starts to get butterflies.
Bowen takes Patrick's hand and puts it like on her cheek.
And it's really clammy.
Wet fur.
And Patrick bends down to one knee, and then closes his eyes and puckers.
Bowen leans forward and she kisses on the lips softly.
And this warm feeling just like rushes through his body, and he changes wild shapes into a chicken. Before Bowen's eyes, she is a chicken.
Bowen giggles, but and blushes like bright red.
Caliban just says, "You better pick him up, because those little legs aren't going to get us to Donvale any faster."
Thank you for thine useful information, Caliban, and tact.
And in this chicken shape, Padraig is just fighting with himself to just try and be comfortable, but it's just like, it's a bit antsy, but he's just sitting in it. Just
Bowen tries to pick him up. Gently pats his head.
And that helps a little bit.
Does Podrig's chicken form in any way resemble Podrig, coloration wise, or is it like a normal chicken?
I think it's a normal chicken. I think he's skilled.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I can stay as a chicken for 4 hours.
Yep,
Cool.
that's true. So you can say chicken the entire trip if you want,
I'll
and
stay
then some.
the entire trip.
Okay, so we've now got two sort of merchants with a donkey and their child, apparently, as well as a dwarf, a kenku, and a human man, just strolling along this main road. And after a little while, you do start to have some other traffic come past you in either direction. Because it's a relatively lengthy trek, you pass a handful of small, like, villages as well. which seem to operate as kind of waypoints of a sort nearby, one of which is like basically a place to change horses. It has a small military presence, apparently for post and deliveries and messages. There is also like a couple of little farming villages, really just a couple of houses near the road. But in the distance, you can see larger barn houses and silos that are set up with some of the crops that can grow this close to the coast, such as they are. And there are also, there's a pretty dense forest as the road winds a little bit further north. And after a few hours pass, Veila kind of turns back as you're all still walking and says, we're about to cross into the domains of, well, my family's home. It'll be a little while yet, but there's a village up ahead near the River Vale. That's where we'll rendezvous. There's an inn there. I think it would be wise for us to stop for a moment. I have a message I need to send. We can't exactly walk straight into my house. I hope you understand. I mean, I suppose we certainly could, but I'm looking to get some help from someone that I hope I can trust. And then Bertram sort of is like eyeing her and saying like, Rivers. Yes. My cousin. She turns to look to the rest of you. And then, he and I were close when we were children. I hope he remembers me fondly. To be honest with you all, it is not without risk. And I'm in some ways only comfortable doing so because all of you are here. Rivers, I believe, is a good sort. I hope he has grown to be a good man. He's also one of the eldest sons of my uncle, Edmund. I am hopeful that, as it was in our childhood, it is a fruit that has fallen far from its branch, saying Shoko. I hope if we can win his favor, if I can convince him of my cause, and indeed of my person, it would do us some good to be able to walk into my home, accompanied by him. Well, are we up for it?
Caliban's already started walking down the road.
Onward then. And so you proceed just around the next few bends of the road. You begin to hear the gentle sound of a flowing river, which is the promised Vale River. And as you get closer, Bertram sort of explains that this is a smaller river that flows into the Lewin eventually nearby. Etc. You see on the list. But along the Vale River, there are, especially just right through this part, it's relatively high speed because of the bend and the rapids. So there's a number of mills set up just along there. You can see them spinning with the current for various purposes. And to that end, the smell of freshly baking bread is kind of overpowering as you get close to the central street of this town, where there's a large tavern with doors open, as well as a handful of other low-lying buildings. And those mills that are along the river are primarily milling grain, and so there seems to be a rather large baking presence, as it were. There's a couple of shops that seem to be hawking breads, among other bread-related things. And the pub, as you get close to it, you can see has a sigil that is sort of like a wax stamp for an envelope. It is sort of carved to look like that, even though it's wood. It has the big letter V in it, and the sign below it says "Veiled Threat."
Oh, a pun!
Yes,
I love it.
jolly good. And it's sort of lunch hour, so it's got some people who have come in from the surrounding areas to have their midday meal, and there are a handful of folks around. You get to the side of the building and you see Bertram looking very awkward as he sort of comes up to Alda. And it's like, I need to hit you. I'm terribly sorry. I have to hitch you to this hitching post alongside the other donkeys.
I have to hitch you.
Yeah, I heard hit.
I was like, I have to hit you.
Hitch with a ch. It is beneath the dignity of a creature such as yourself, Alda. I hope you understand. I mean nothing by it. Do stay here, though. It's very important. You show me your best donkey bray. And then the Alda donkey is like sort of looking up at Bertram. It's like, that's all right. That's all right. Just we'll keep quiet. We'll keep quiet then. We hope not to be long. Right. He stands up. Shall we? The tavern on the inside is spacious and has relatively large windows in the back where lots of sun is streaming in. And there are tables here and there where it seems like the night before must have been a relatively raucous one, as there are some signs of wear and tear about. Floor is a bit sticky in places, and there is a half-elven man who is scrubbing the ground rather morosely and slowly, and not very effectively, close by to the door. And then a goblin woman and a human man are behind the bar, bustling back and forth, and there's sound of loudly clinking crockery from the back, and they're sort of shouting things to each other. Veila goes and walks over and sits at a small table by herself. And Bertram sort of turns to the side to the rest of you and says, I need all of you, all of us, to do your best to be inconspicuous. But also, we need to keep an eye out in case anyone seems too interested, you understand. But you're in a tavern. Be in a tavern. Leave Veila to herself, though.
You speak with obvious. That's obvious that we are in a tavern.
Yes.
Why do you tell us where we are when we are there?
I get Caliban and myself drinks.
Avery walks up to the bartender and she's like, a pint of malt, please.
Right then, the dark ale for you then. That sounds like it'll do, yeah?
I'm gonna sit in a place where I can see the whole room.
Okay, you could do that. And make a perception check while you're at it, Caliban.
Sorry, have we arrived at our destination? Is this like a little buy stop?
So this is like the little village just outside of the area where their manor house is going to be. So a lot of these manor houses have sort of environs around them and like lands to farm and stuff. And those lands have a number of smaller villages and things like that. This being like the principal one before Donvale Manor. 27, eagle eyes over here, taking everything in.
How dare you?
I do. I double dare. So Avery is getting drinks. Or Buckle and Avery is getting. That's right. You're an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Now then, is this for your ma or your da?
I
Rav walks up
Hold
next to
that
her.
police badge. You're nicked.
That's a good child, that is, getting ale for your parents. You keep up. You'll be good and strong.
Rav
sort
walks
of
over
pop it.
and picks the beer up from Avery and takes a sip. I thank thee heartily, daughter.
Avery pulls out her dagger.
Oh, it's quite the toy for a little one there. Rather fine make, that is.
What happened to the drinks you were holding?
Rav took it.
Rav,
Yeah, Rav's got her beer.
he
Rav
goes,
took my beer.
my feisty daughter, see, that is why we let her not have ale, for she would glass a person. And he walks up.
Okay, so Caliban's posted up looking. Rav and Avery and Buckle are getting drinks. Podrick and Barwin, well, I should say Barwin and chicken. Podrick, have you remained a chicken?
Yeah,
What
at
a
this point,
metaphor. What a question.
Yep. Okay. Barwin's just holding a chicken.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
She's gonna just go and sit next to Caliban. We'll prop the chicken down and go get an ale and come back.
Okay. Caliban, with your 27 perception, you get the lay of the land pretty quickly. From your corner table, you can see all the corners of this place. It's relatively open. There's not like nooks and crannies and things like that. The brightly lit tables show that most people in here don't seem to be like cagey or secretive. This is not a moldy gutter situation, or like a place in the city or a seedier joint. So most people are taking their hats off and like hung up their cloaks at the door and seem to be kind of talking loudly, animatedly. Everyone seems to know the bartenders. There are probably 7 or 8 other people in the room coming in and out total, in addition to your party. There's a couple of little groups, and then 2 or 3 folks, or 1 or 2 folks rather, who are sitting alone, and then Veila as well. After you're all sitting there just kind of having your meal and a drink, about an hour passes, and then people have been coming and going, but one rather finely dressed fellow walks in. And Caliban, you clock him straight away. He's not dressed ostentatiously, but it's very clear that his doublet and vest and trousers are of a fine quality. The sort of person that you would pick as a mark if you were out up to your old ways.
How long has it been since we started getting drinks to this man walking into the bar?
About an hour.
Okay, Buckle's drunk.
How much has Buckle been drinking? Buckle's pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
I like this. That Buckle's a lightweight, though. Okay, noted. You have the drunk condition. Okay. The gentleman is looking around, casting his eyes over everyone at the bar, and the goblin woman behind the bar says, "Oh, your lordship, it's good to see you. Is there anything I can get for you?" And he kind of puts a hand up and it's like, Mabel, 'tis, please. No fuss is needed. I'm just here to meet a very old friend." And then his eyes sort of catch where the person who was disguised and is now actually Veila, sitting at that table. She seems to have dropped her disguise. Mabel looks over there and sort of shakes her head and looks up and says, Of course. Leave you to it. Shall I send Oh, all right. And then she turns around, and you can see this man turns and begins walking over towards Veila. He has tanned brown skin and dark black hair and a kind of a very finely trimmed beard that is close cropped around his chin, and a mustache as well. He walks to Veila, and Veila stands. And you can read lips, can't you?
I can read the whole thing.
That's right. Barwin can read lips as well. That's right. You observant lot. Okay. So then
Caliban said, I can read the whole thing.
it's too late. I've seen everything.
Yeah. The whole thing. There's no.
Okay. You have gotten a spot where you can actually see both of them in profile. So it's not always ideal lip reading conditions, but it's pretty good, pretty solid. So both you and Barwin will have access to most of the following conversation. The man says, when I did thy missive receive, I thought surely Walter was having a joke with me. A rather cruel one, and a strange one. Veila. And then Veila kind of puts her hand up and says, Rivers, I have to know. I know it has been a long time. I have very few people I can trust. I wish to count you one of them. Can I do that? Rivers is quiet for a little bit. Stares down at the ale in front of him. Veila, it has been 10 years. The world thinks you dead. There's only one reason you can be. How did you... Why... I don't... And then Veila kind of stops him again and says, I will answer as many questions as I can, safely. And she does this thing which Caliban and Barwin with your high passives, and Caliban especially with that perception roll, I think you'd clock. It's something that you tend to do when you are in a crowd and think you might be being tailed, or you're checking your surroundings for something you expect to see. She's clocking you all, kind of figuring out where you are in relation to her and to him. She says, I need to know, Rivers, before I say anything further. Are you of your father's party? I will not ask you anything further.
Buckle burps real loud.
Someone at the table nearby laughs and then belches back as though challenged. And both of them sort of like wait for a minute. Veila. He is my father. I know what he is. Of course I will stand with you. Walter will have to understand. I will make him of my mind. We shall be twinned in that as well. You have my word, Veila. You can trust me. Are you here to come home? And Veila looks like she is on the verge of bursting into tears. She doesn't. She sort of sits upright. Says, there are some people I would like you to meet. And then she
Landry?
gestures. And then he leans forward. Says, slide saddle then. Side saddle, she replies. They both stand up, and they go in opposite directions. Rivers moves to the front of the room and out the way he came, giving a light wave to Mabel at the bar, who gives a kind of very confused, like, wave back. And Veila moves to a different exit, and as she does, she looks over to you, Caliban, seeing you and Barwin watching, kind of does one of these things, gestures to this side exit that she's going to, and she tries to catch all of your eyes at various points. I imagine failing with Buckle at this stage.
I grab Buckle under his arm and like try and pull him up as we're going.
Buckle thinks we're doing a jig. Buckle skips on the way.
Make a performance check, Buckle.
Performance. Oh, great. It's a -1.
How much minus?
Oh,
for being
actually,
drunk?
make it with disadvantage because you're drunk.
Yeah, cool.
Wait a minute. I
Sorry,
perform better when drunk.
Hey, there's a golden mean, right? Confidence is high, inhibitions are low, but you still have your feet.
That's an 11.
You know what? You comport yourself relatively well. It might be because you have Caliban as a crutch.
Yeah, I'm
Like you're
I'm
able to
putting
sort
a lot
of.
I put a lot of my body weight on Caliban right now.
And using that, you're able to sort of dance along, and your co-belcher at the other table starts clapping, clapping along, like clapping you all out. Yeah. Good and drunk. You go out there, and you see there is Veila, who has resumed her appearance as the non-Veila peasant traveler. Is holding a sort of reins around a very unamused looking donkey. And then there is a guard wearing...
To be fair, I don't think I've ever met an amused looking donkey.
Hey, there are some great YouTube videos you need to watch of donkeys having fun. They're fantastic.
That's
Well,
all right.
it's a formal recommendation.
We'll set up a playlist.
Great.
And
Perfect.
attach it to this.
Straight to the channel.
Yeah.
This is a decidedly unamused looking donkey. And an unfamiliar person who is this guard who is wearing the same livery that you saw on Rivers' chest, which is a single flame with a kind of spray of blue on either side. This guard opens his mouth, and you hear Bertram's voice come out. He seems to have taken on a new aspect in the meantime. It says, "Well, follow me, and there's stables around the back. This way." He'll lead you with the donkey, who is Alda, into the stable, looking behind, and then closing a door. And you're in a very dimly lit area with shafts of sunlight coming through the slats in the wood. At this point, Podrig, your chicken shape is about to wear off. You can control how you manage that situation if you like.
Sure. Patrick starts to feel it wearing off, so he runs to the bathroom.
Bathroom's a strong word for this situation. You got like a privy around the side, which is basically a pit.
Find some privacy.
Okay.
That's in line.
Just the chicken hopping behind someone.
Someone as a chicken comes out.
Someone is in there and they are peeing forever.
Are you
Like,
serious?
Yeah. Like you said, you're in line. Like someone is in there. They're taking they've clearly had some ales. Like,
right.
So you're just like you're getting near your time that you have to.
Are they also
You can
drunk?
feel it. Oh, most certainly.
All right, great. So I run. I go in as a chicken, and then I start flapping around them, like just like.
What's in my hair? What is it?
And then to the
hoping this person like runs out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like pants, like halfway down, like pulling it up. Like what in the blazes?
As they go out, I then turn back into Padre, and then I run out of the bathroom going, "What the goodness? Did you see that?
What are you? Who are you? What did you?
I was
choking you.
What did you?
Chicken.
You?
What you?
Did you?
I?
Oh,
Me?
goodness. Oh,
What
I
did
should
you?
stop drinking. And then I go back to the table.
Oh.
What outside?
Oh, I'm going outside.
Yeah, they're in the stable, which is like nearly attached to the tavern around the
Right, I
side.
go to the stable. I go
Padre,
to the-
you come in, a flecks of feathers around the place. Padre returns, and there you are with all of you, plus Veila, Bertram newly disguised as a guard, and this young man who seems to be in his 20s, Rivers. And I think, given that it's 10:25, this is a good place for us to hang up the saddles for this evening.
Side saddle
hey.
or regular?
Side saddle.
Reverse.
Yep. Okay. That is where we will leave it until a fortnight hence, when we will rendezvous with the Headless Marys once more, gentles all, into the breach. Here you are. You are at the very cusp of the manor house of Clan Donvale, ready to reinstate Veila to her place there.
We're gonna kill them all.
A bit of help.
It's all vault.
Everyone's
Like,
gonna
know
die.
what's coming.
I'm gonna war with everybody. Let's go.
So, in 2 weeks' time, we will be back here with the Headless Marys. This same time next week, we will be with the Magical Cane Band, about a month back in time, but here in the same nation of Eston. So,
Has the time gap gotten longer between us?
Yeah, well.
yeah, you skipped about a month, and so you've been keeping relative pace since then.
Right.
Your month in Orst was what pushed you ahead of time for them. They might catch up to you. We'll see. They have been up to some hijinks on the other side of Lake Lewin, as it turns out. You can follow them here on our channel at the Magical Cane Band playlist here. You can also subscribe to get notified of our new videos and when they're going live. And if you are just catching up with us now, you can watch our back catalog, as it were. There are about 5 or 6 episodes from each campaign now that we've done in the can, and you can watch the introductory videos, which should have been on the link in the card for those of you watching later at the beginning of this video. It's time to thank a few folks, including, as always, Matt Day, the designer of Rollcast, which allows us to have been playing this as we have all pandemic long, but also now it makes it much easier for us to stream to you and to roll our virtual dice that you can see. Thank you to Eric Matthias from soundimage.org, who provides the music that we are using. Check out his website for more examples of the kind, of a variety of different genres. It's an awesome resource. Thank you to those of you who have been watching, either here or later, and thank you as always to our players. Oh my god. What is the total? 182.
I reckon I could beat it.
182, which is around the amount of damage we saw in the other campaign last week. And one of the craziest rolls I've ever seen in my life. 150. Sorry, Rav. In this chaos, we'll go ahead and finish as we always do by saying thanks, and more thanks. Good night. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.